Welcome to Club Vice President Education Club Officer Training, presented by Pam Traz. Sorry about that, Pam. I am your moderator tonight, Jeff Hebert. I'm the District 45 Program Quality Director for 2017 to 2018. This webinar is provided free to our members to help you serve your club as a Vice President Education. This webinar will cover basic skills and responsibilities that you will use in your role. In the next few months, our district will have Toastmasters Leadership Institute, where you will learn to apply these skills and apply them more actively. Today, we will have a 20-minute review of your role, and then we'll have a Q&A session. Now, each club is unique, so some of the Vice President Education responsibilities may actually be formed by different members in your club. However, as Vice President Education, you are responsible for making sure that the work is completed. Our trainer today is Pam Traz, Advanced Leader Bronze, Advanced Communicator Silver. Pam is the Area 21 Director in Division D. Her home club is Wolfville Toastmasters in Nova Scotia. She has been Vice President Education for several clubs, and Pam professes to be a keen fan of Toastmasters. So Pam, please tell us all about the Club Vice President Education role.
Thanks, Jeff. And first of all, can I just say welcome to our callers there. I can see a bunch of people that are already in the room. I can see Sharon and Patrick, Mark, Josh, John, Donna, and there's the infamous caller 2 and caller 3. And you know who you are, but you're anonymous at the moment. I'm really glad you're here. The program that we're going to do tonight is going to be pretty exciting, and I am sharing my screen. If you can't see it, I need you to go to the top right-hand corner of your screen. You'll see an orange box with a white arrow. Just click on that and it expands. That's also where your chat box is. So if you have questions that you want to ask or answers you want to give, that's the place to do it. So I'm going to just go to our first sort of agenda. I'm going to ask a quick poll just because I'm curious to see what your experience is. And then we're going to quickly run through these types of areas within the VP Ed role. You have one of the most exciting roles within Toastmasters at your club because you're the person who helps make education and speeches and speech contests and all kinds of things happen. So this is a good thing. So our quick poll, in the chat box, just go ahead and answer any of these questions that apply to you. If you've had 1 year or less of Toastmasters experience, just put that in your answer. If you've been with Toastmasters for 2 to 5 years, put that in the chat box. And if you've been 5 years or more with Toastmasters, put that in the box as well. So we're getting a lot of responses. We're getting a lot of people saying they're between 2 and 5 years. One couple of people have said more than 5 years. So we've got a pretty experienced group here, and that's excellent. Now, let's really put the proof in the pudding and see how many of you are first-time VP Eds. If you've done this role before, just put that in the chat box. Have you done it more than once, more than 6 times, more than or is this your first time being the VP Ed? What's your, where's that for you? And again, just put that in the chat box. And we've got not as many responses coming in here. Oh, there we go. We got a lot of people saying first time, first time. We've got a VP Ed 2 times. That's great. And oh, and one first time officially. That's great. So you can see there's a lot of experience and not experience in the room. And that's just great about the VP Ed role because I've done this role a couple of times and I've learned every time I've done it. And that's what's exciting about it. So first of all, this is your main role as a VP Education. You are responsible for making sure that people get opportunities to speak and that they're progressing on their projects. And then as they accumulate and have achieved the correct number for their book or for whatever project they're working on, that you see that it gets submitted. And of course you oversee the mentoring program and speech contests. That's a lot. And you play a critical role within the club. Other than being the chairperson of club, I say that this is perhaps the most important role in the club because you're the person that helps everybody to achieve their goals. So here's a couple of things to remember. Toastmasters is a really resource-rich organization. If you're ever at a loss, even if it's just for a table topic, look on the Toastmasters.org website and go to the resource library. Right here, you'll see that I've got 3 resources here that are phenomenal resources, and yes, I will share my slide deck. These numbers, every Toastmasters publication has a number to it that makes it easier to search, but these 3 really help. The Club Leadership Handbook you should have got or you will get when you attend a TLI or become a club leader, and it outlines all of your club roles and who does what and when. And then this one that I've got a picture of is the Member Achievement Record. One thing that I do as VP Ed is I make sure that each person in my club has a copy of this. It acts as a total program achievement record. You can go through your whole journey from your icebreaker speech to a DTM and record it using this record, and it's very, very helpful. If you do it, it's an 8-page record book, but you can print it out on 2 pages at the same time, and it just becomes a 4-page double-sided, or sorry, 2 pages double-sided, and it's wonderful. I highly recommend it. And I also want to remind you that if you have any questions about anything that I'm saying, or you want me to stop and elaborate on it, just let me know, and I can pause and we can go forward with it. Okay, so you've started your meeting, you've gotten your resources. Now, let's talk about what happens next. There's club rules that you have before, during, and after the meeting, and you are the critical glue for it. One of the things that you do is plan the agenda for every meeting, so that you're constantly adjusting it to make sure that there's the correct amount of time for each of the speeches, because an icebreaker is 4 to 6 minutes, but some of the advanced manuals have 15-minute speeches. So you're going to have to plan your meeting accordingly. You're also going to want to accommodate club business, speech contests, awards, those kinds of things, and make sure that educationals happen. Now you're probably wondering what, if you don't already know what they are. An educational is an opportunity for your group to hear education materials from Toastmasters. And I'm going to just bring my website into view so you can see what they are. I've gone to Toastmasters.org, clicked on the Resources tab, and then chosen the Resource Library. I've got this all up here so it's quick to load. And you can see that there's a huge variety of different educationals that Toastmasters prepares for you. And you can see that there's 3 different areas: the Successful Club, Leadership Excellence, and the Better Speaker Series. You should be encouraging your members to begin doing these educationals. It's part of their advanced speakers, becoming an advanced communicator from that point of view. But it also is important for teaching your club about the broader Toastmaster picture. It's through these pieces that they learn about the leadership excellence and how to be good leaders in the club. or they develop their speaking skills in ways that they might not if they didn't have it helping them from that. I really encourage you to explore these educationals and the resources area in Toastmasters.org. Okay, I'm going to take that out of your view, and now I'm just going to pause and look and see if there's any questions in that question pane. It doesn't look like it so far, so that means I'm either clear as glass or clear as mud. Hopefully it's clear as glass. All right. During a meeting, that's when it's showtime, and your role is not as significant, which is kind of nice. You will have to act as a stand-in for your president if they can't make it. But your biggest role during the meetings is just to sign the manuals in the back when somebody completes a speech, and to make sure that you give the awards and recognition as they're going. And this may not seem like it's really important, but it is. It's important because it's part of validating the progress that somebody is making. When you show a person that they've completed their Competent Communicator Manual and you give them that certificate in front of your club, it helps them to recognize a big step. That's
Uh-oh, we've lost Pam. Is everyone else still here?
Yep.
Pam, if you can hear me, you lost your audio. You may want to try and unmute yourself.
She's dialing back in, Jeff.
Okay, I see that. Well, while she's dialing back in, I'd like to give you guys advanced notice that this winter, actually, I'm kind of colluding with Sharon Joseph to try and encourage our clubs to present successful club series presentations. So in December and January, we'll be encouraging clubs to do Moments of Truth. I think we're also going to have a Leadership Excellence Month. So we'll stay tuned. We'll be encouraging folks to do those and giving you some incentives for actually presenting them and reporting back to the district. Pam, are you back with us?
This is Patrick. I had a quick question. The educational resources, was that for CC and below or above?
That's for any club member, any Toastmaster.
Anyone, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And there's all sorts of useful information on that in that resource library. Toastmasters in the last few years has really made an effort to put everything, all sorts of useful stuff online. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
In fact, while you're waiting, you might open up a browser window and see if you can check it out.
And Jeff, if you're okay with it, I'd like to share the address for the training calendar.
That is a fine idea.
Hi.
Are you
This
back?
is Pam.
Oh, there you are,
I'm back. I'm sorry. I lost my email that had the access code so I could dial it, and I was dialing back, but I didn't have the room number. So I apologize for that. My phone just spontaneously lost the call. So
that's life,
yeah.
Modern age.
It is. So I apologize. And of course, I wasn't listening to what you were saying while I was there. So how are people, did you go any further while I was dialing in?
No, we were chatting about other issues. We revisited the resource library and also talked a little bit about some incentives that the district is working on. So
ooh, we always like incentives.
We do. We do. Okay. Well,
great.
Pam, I guess, so, why don't you go ahead and continue?
All right. Sorry about that, folks. So we are at the meeting, and you run the meeting, and everybody's all happy, hunky-dory, and they're making their speeches. But after your meeting, that's when you need to record any achievements that anybody's made. So you've just had that person complete their 10th speech, and until you record it at Toastmasters.org, that achievement is just in your club. It's not official Toastmasters club. And that's really disappointing if you don't share that. So as VP Education, you need to go into Toastmasters.org, go into Club Central, and record it as something that as that member has achieved it. Now, one of the things that happens at Club Central is they will share the certificate to the person who's achieved it, or you can get that certificate sent to you as the VP of Education. I recommend getting it sent to you because then you can give it in person at your meetings to the club member. And again, it gives you a little something that maybe you take a picture, you put it on your Facebook page for the club or your newsletter or that kind of thing. And again, it's recognition of somebody achieving from that point of view. The other thing you want to do, make sure you plan the next meeting, and of course, participate in your executive committee meetings. I'd also add to this that you are the glue that really helps the distinguished club program to keep going. As VP of Ed, you should be checking that club program constantly so that you know, hey, Johannes is working towards becoming a CC. We need one more competent communicator to be able to achieve our club goal this year. So we want to make sure that we get time in the schedule for Johannes to do a speech. And sometimes he might need a little more coaching, sometimes he might need some mentoring, or maybe he just needs some encouragement to say, hey, we miss you when you're not here, that kind of thing. All right. Are there any questions before I continue on? And I'll just remind everybody, you can just put your questions in the chat box, or if you want to be unmuted, you can do that and ask your question that way too. All right, I don't see any new questions, but I will keep an eye on that chat box. All right, let's keep going. Another big aspect of the Toastmaster program is to have a mentor. And as the VP of Education, you're the person that drives that program. And I always recommend that when you get a new a new member, give somebody a mentoring role with them. This is a double whammy win because it helps the person who's just starting to feel like they've got somebody that they can ask questions to, that they can be welcomed, they can look for that person when they come to your meetings, but also mentoring and helping somebody to figure out things can actually help the mentor to realize, hey, I know more than I realize. Or it can help both of those people on their journey as Toastmasters to learn together. One of the things that my club has adopted that has really helped with check-ins is that we schedule time during our meetings once a month, the third meeting of the month. There's a 10-minute slot that we deliberately try and keep open for mentors to meet with mentees. Now, it doesn't always work out that everybody's mentor and their mentees are here at the meeting, but enough of us are together that a mentor can usually meet with, if they've got more than one mentee, they can meet with that, or if their mentor doesn't have any of their mentees, they can meet with somebody else, some of the other people that need to be mentored that haven't got one. It's really helpful because it allows everyone a time to, what goals are you working on? What supports do you need? How can we help each other? That kind of support is really valuable. I've got some great comments here saying that, hey, that's a neat idea. Somebody else has said that that's a neat idea, 10 minutes just for mentors and mentees, and also that it could be a time for filling in the CL manuals. Yeah, it could be. And actually speaking about the CL manual, one of the things that our club does, we found that people forgot about the CL manual. They are doing these club roles, but they forget to sign them out. So at every meeting, we actually have a role, which is the CL evaluator. And that person's role is just to collect the competent leader manuals and sign off on the jobs that everybody does. And then that way, every week, that competent leader manual gets signed off. And as a result, I've seen a huge increase in the amount of CLs that our club gets. And that's because we're diligently signing those manuals. And then that way, it helps as well to make sure that we're not missing out. All right, so there's 2 tips for you to take back to your club. I can't wait to learn from you. All right, so mentorship is one thing. I touched briefly about the educational programs, but I love the education programs. There's 3 streams that Toastmaster puts together. Now, they have a program and an objective, and the idea, you can download these things. It also comes at the resource area, and they have a slide deck and a handout. Toastmasters deliberately gives you a fairly vague speech, and the idea is that you put it together in a way that makes sense for you, but this is really where people learn about the broader picture of Toastmasters and also what you can do and how to be a better speaker or a better leader, or what it means to be a successful club. And those are really important. So I would really recommend that you do them. And your members that have completed their competent communicator need to do these in order to complete advanced leaders and advanced communicator goals and projects. So you want to make sure that you get them done. All right.
Hey, Pam.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to point out that the 3rd bullet there, Success Leadership, that series is actually called the Leadership Excellence Series. There is a whole nother series called Success Leadership. So those are even more advanced than these. These are
Thank you for pointing that out, Jeff.
You're
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people get the 2 of them confused, and obviously I did as well.
Yeah, I certainly have.
Yeah, and you're right, but they're all excellent, and they help a lot. And what we at our club do, we try to have at least 1, if not 2 of them per month, depending on how people are doing. So we might have somebody speak from the leadership or club series, and somebody else speak from the speaking and speechcraft kind of series, if possible.
Is that why your club is distinguished every year, year after year?
I think it's a bit of a, I think so. I think it's a factor. It's helpful. All right. So when I said submit your awards, these are the kinds of things that you want to make sure that you're submitting on Club Central. And you can see I've taken a screenshot of the Toastmasters. You go to Leadership Central and then into Club Central, and your club is there, and you can submit the awards. And that's also where you can submit payments and so on. Another thing that you want to pay attention to is the Distinguished Club Program. And thank you, Jeff, for that excellent segue into it. A quality club will complete a Distinguished Club Program. That is something that you can download from the resource section again, and it's a plan of your year and how you're going to work together as a club, but it also is a plan to achieve these kinds of quality awards. A club that is doing these things and working towards achieving these things is a quality club that people will want to remain members of and continue to support and speak positively about in the community. So you want to try and get that. And usually by submitting your reports on time, paying your dues on time, those kinds of things, growing your club, having people achieve awards, you can probably get distinguished status. A little more challenging to get the next two, but you can definitely do that when you have a club that is promoting quality and is working towards the education goals. So, and this, I'm just showing you mine. This was mine that I used in June. We achieved President's Distinguished, and actually, you can see in our 9 there, we actually achieved 10 out of the 10 points that we could. And I'm not trying to brag, but we're only a small little club. You can see there's about 20 members or so in our club, but we're all working together to make things happen. We're looking and working together to grow. And if you are, as VP of Ed, are doing that, then your club will continue to get the quality as well. So, I said at the beginning that Toastmasters was a resource-rich organization, and here's some more resources that you can look for. Again, go to toastmasters.org in the resource section, and there's documents with these numbers attached to them. But Google is also your friend. A lot of very generous Toastmasters have put up their everything from their favorite table topics to motivating ways to manage your executive team. All kinds of resources are there. So use Google as a resource as well to add some spice and flavor to your Toastmasters presentation. All right. The other resource that our club uses that it's not an official Toastmasters program, but it is a Toastmaster in the UK who developed it. It's called easyspeak.org, and it's a free online tool that lets you track individual and club progress. We use it quite extensively, and it helps us to create agendas, track members' speeches, all kinds of different things. It can be quite valuable. Again, it's free. If you wish to use it, if you want more information, let me know and I can share that with you. But it really is an easy-to-use tool. Okay, so the other part of your journey as a Toastmaster is, and as VP of Ed, is the speech contest. Now, speech contests happen twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. And as VP Ed, in the manual, the club leadership manual, it says you can plan them. But some clubs find that it's a lot for the VP Ed to plan the speech contest, and it's an excellent opportunity for somebody in your club to develop their leadership skills. So as VP Ed, you just have to make sure that these things happen. You don't actually have to do it. So if your club is going to have a speech contest, and I highly recommend it, then have someone, either yourself or someone else, plan the speech contest. And again, the link is right there, and the speech contest rule book. Speech contests are an excellent way. People often say, oh, it's a contest. We're not ready for that. But I've seen beginners do amazingly well at a speech contest, and I've seen seasoned veterans do equally well. So I do recommend you do it at the club level as well as continuing on. Okay, so what did we do today? This is what we set out to do, and other than having a few technical difficulties along the way, we talked about all of these different things in a very rushed way, but I'd like to pause now and use this next little bit of time to allow you to share, to ask questions. We can unmute you, and we can sort of massage and answer all those questions that you might have, maybe ease your worries as a VP of Education for your club. So I would open up the chat box here, and maybe we can start with, maybe is there something that you do or that your VP Ed does that has really helped you as a Toastmaster, something that you've seen at your club maybe, or at a club that you visited that has helped you in your journey as a Toastmaster. Just either type it in that chat pane or ask to be unmuted, and we can unmute you. I see some great resources filling in that taskbar. People are, I'll just read some of these out so that it's on the recording. Some people are suggesting the official Toastmasters members Facebook group as a resource, and there's lots of different ideas there. Also, YouTube has some great resources, and also the Toastmasters District 45 online training calendar is there, and that also has some resources. Somebody has suggested, Linda has suggested, that she likes interviewing members at the beginning of the year so that they can bounce ideas and make a plan. That's a great idea, Linda. I think that's really cool. Maybe, Linda, can you share how that happens? Is that sort of a round table that you do at the meeting, or is that something that you sort of take time away and have like a more informal type of discussion?
I actually make appointments. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay. Go ahead.
Great. I make appointments with each member to have coffee, and we can sit and talk about it. I bring the individual achievement record to fill out with them and look at where they're going, and the CC manual, CL manual. We look at the whole thing and how they feel they're doing. It gives us a real chance one-on-one to discuss it, and for me to make suggestions that maybe when they let it percolate a little bit, they are more interested.
So is this something that you do at the beginning of the year? I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah,
or I try to when they... Go ahead.
Sorry. I try to do it in June before we break up. Now we're meeting in the summer, so I can do it anytime before the end of September when the year really starts chugging.
That's a great idea. And do you do that with each individual Toastmaster in your club?
Yes, I do.
Or just the... Wow, that's amazing. And that's a bit like a mentor meeting, isn't it?
It is. It's giving them the better feeling that you're not just somebody who paid some money and you get to sit there. You actually have an opportunity to pursue your own goals, and I give them that place to feed back. Now, if they've got their own mentor, I will fit in with that or let them do it themselves. But most of the time, I just have that personal touch there to make sure they know they've got different avenues to have those discussions.
Hi, Pam.
I think that's really... Go ahead. Come on in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this can be... I'm just looking at your agenda here and all these items we just covered. That can be pretty overwhelming, especially for a new or first-time VP Ed. How do you suggest they get organized to handle all of these responsibilities?
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent question, and what I was going to suggest is start slow, build momentum. You don't have to do all of this all at once. Because if you try to do it, it becomes really, really overwhelming. So first of all, start with your meeting agenda. And what I even though I'm not fulfilling the VP Ed role now, what I do is I try to carve out an hour of my time on a weekend or sometime during my week when I can sit and just look at my actual achievement record, look at where I'm at, and figure out what's my plan for the next couple of months. When I do that, that helps organize me. You can do the same thing for the VP Ed. Look ahead a month or two on your schedule and just start filling the blocks and say, okay, we've got the next 2 months, and you can see however many meetings you have. And our club meets weekly, but some clubs don't, and that's fine. But you can start looking ahead and say, okay, well, is there a theme? You could identify a theme or a word of the day, or, oh, we've got an election coming up, so we're going to need a bit of time on that day. So I just put those things and start penciling the agenda. And even if it's just rough, at least then I've got an idea that in 3 meetings we're having our election, and I need 15 minutes of time. So that way I'm not scheduling 3 people to speak on that day when I also need 15 minutes for the time. Once you get used to that agenda piece, then you can begin to look at, okay, is there anything else that I need to do? Has anybody achieved something? Oh, okay. And then you submit it. It takes about 2 weeks to get something from Toastmasters. So that's something you can do. You can sort of say, oh, maybe once a month, once every couple of weeks, when somebody achieves something, you file it, you send it away, and then you wait for it to come back. Another thing, go ahead. Jeff, did you have something you
heard me breathing. I was just thinking, so what I'm hearing so far is you basically have 2 tools that kind of guide you, your overall plan. One is the meeting agendas, so you know when meetings are scheduled, and you try and make sure your club members get signed up. The other is your DCP scorecard, right, or your successful club plan. How about like individual, you were talked about individual member achievement records, but surely there are club member achievement records or some way of organizing that information that's a little bit better for a VP education. Because frankly, I got to tell you, handling 20 of those individual documents is very cumbersome.
It is. And I tend to use the member achievement record as an individual person. So rather than me holding on to them, I give them to the member, and that's their tool to hold on to it. That's part of the reason why we use EasySpeak so much at our club, because it allows us an electronic record of who's done what speeches, and there's all kinds of charts and graphs in EasySpeak that allow us to see easily, hey, Tom is actually really close to achieving his competent communicator. He's actually done 8 out of the 10 speeches, and maybe if we nudge him a little bit more, he'll be able to achieve it before Christmas. That kind of thing. So that's a tool that we use. Are there other tools that other clubs, let me rephrase that. There is another tool that you can get from Toastmasters, and it's a large poster they have for both competent communicator and the competent leader. And they are a large sort of graph, and you put the member's name on it and the speech that they've done, and you can see it in a visual way, and you can put it up on the wall in the place where you meet. That's another tool that you can use. And if other people have other ideas, that you can see, that's great. And I do have some people saying, can you show us EasySpeak? And I certainly can. So let me just bring that into your view. I'll just log in right now, and you'll be able to see it. And I'll just keep an eye that some people are saying, if you do have any other questions, by all means, ask away. So I'm just logging into EasySpeak right now, and this is the main page. And apparently I've lost my password. Let me just see here. It should be, oh, it's just going to take me a second to log in here. I do live in Nova Scotia. Things are a little slow. Oh, it doesn't want to let me in. But let me just keep going with it.
Yeah, maybe we can set up separate training just for...
I'll just keep trying it for EasySpeak, yeah. Usually I can get in pretty quick. It doesn't, oh, maybe I'll just change use my actual, there it is. You can see that I have a login and a username, and it is different because it's EasySpeak. No, I can't get in for some reason. That's interesting. I can always switch over to you, Jeff, if you wanted to show it on your screen.
No, that's okay.
Oh, okay. I can do a training on EasySpeak at another time if you like.
We'll put that on the schedule.
Yeah, let me just go to the main page back here at EasySpeak. But what it does is it gives you an opportunity to have a page for your club.
Yeah. And
it acts here is the front page. Normally it would come up, and then I would see my Wolfville Toastmasters page. This information here gets changed and is customizable to my club information. What's also nice is that you can do a whole bunch of different searches by word of the day. There's a lot of resources in here that are very helpful.
All right, well then
tracking.
Let's go ahead and table this, because I think that this would be a good resource to get some training on. You do have another question. Linda asked about signing people up. I know that this is a challenge sometimes, and clubs have different strategies. Some clubs rely solely on volunteers. Other clubs, I'm one, I tended to encourage folks by signing them up and making them find a replacement if they can't speak. So what strategies do you have, or does some others recommend?
Yeah, great question. So what we do is we tie them to their chairs, and they only get released when they volunteer to speak. No, no. There's two. We actually ask people to volunteer, and that's what's nice about it is we'll say who wants to speak, or we'll have on the back of our agenda a list of the roles. People can sign up for things in EasySpeak. And then once they've used the EasySpeak, we'll see that there's 10 people that have signed up for roles. Ha, ha, ha. And then people just fill in the cracks. But what we'll also do is in the meeting, at the very end of the meeting, we look ahead to the next week and we say, who else wants to do a role? And we let it get a little quiet. And you wait for that person to volunteer. If we don't give people time to figure out mentally, do I have the time this week to prepare? Can I actually be at the meeting next week? Am I in the right headspace to speak? All those things, we need to give them that time. Some people send around a sign-up sheet, and if that doesn't work, then we start nagging. Now, I also see some people offering some suggestions as volunteers, mostly through EasySpeak, but they also have a physical sign-up sheet. That's a great idea. And and that as the VPE, I get the blank spaces filled as much as possible a few days before the meeting. That's a really good idea. The other nice thing about that is if they have what I've done a couple of times that has been fun is I put the date of, say, 6 weeks of upcoming meetings, and I put them in a hat. And then I send that hat around the room, and I ask everybody to pick out a date or pick out a thing from the hat, and that gives them a date. And then they have to tell me that date. And that date becomes a time they speak sometime in the next 6 to 8 weeks. And that usually gets the momentum back up too.
I think I kind of like that idea. It seems to me that giving folks those dates and letting them swap in the meeting, that might actually work out pretty well. That gives the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Gets you to sign up and also,
Yeah, it kind of gives everybody a bit of a, oh, yeah, I really should speak.
Right. Okay, well, Pam, this has been a fantastic training. I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to post the URL that you guys can use to fill out the survey. If you want to get credit, then actually provide your email address. The email is optional, but if you do provide your email address, then I'll keep track of that, and that will give you guys credit towards some of the Lucky 7 Award, which is an award for clubs that have all 7 members trained.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at this time I'm going to stop recording, and everyone hang on for a minute and we'll have some post-training discussion.